I was looking for a standalone house. I didn't really want a townhouse style property with shared walls. The reason for that is they're easier to do up. They're easier to add value to. A townhouse or a unit, a little bit more tricky because you have to get, consent from everyone. A new build townhouse, I wasn't really in the market for because I wanted something that I could add value to. And that's part of spotting a bargain, right? Welcome to Checks and Balances, brought to you by Partners Life. I'm Michael Vincent. This is James Blair. And today we are talking to you about how to buy a bargain in the property market.
We are back in your life. Today, we are talking my boy Mike. He bought a new house.
Bought a new house.
It's the summertime now.
In the summertime.
Lots of people are buying houses. People pay too much money for a house. People don't pay enough for a house. So Mike's just gone through the process. So Mike, I think the best place to start is to talk about how for a decade, I've been trying to convince you the North Shore sucks. It is way better in the Eastern Bays because little breeze. You can't go home.
Yeah.
The bridge shuts. How good is life?
Yeah, look, I was definitely, my first house was on the North Shore, Northcote Point. My partner at the time bought it. I loved Northcote Point, loved the North Shore. And, I was always I was like, the Eastern Bays, it's just a giant retirement home. Is that really where I want to live out there? And I will admit, I was wrong. Since moving out to the Eastern Beaches, that drive around Tamaki Drive in the morning to get to work, beautiful.
And of course, we know that not just the North Shore and Auckland listens to the podcast.
Yeah.
The tips from today are relevant to anybody who is looking to buy a property. Mike, so today's about the tips, and how to, find a bargain.
Yep.
Tell us when you started looking, what were you thinking about? Tell us about the process.
Yeah, cool. So I had split up with my partner, sold the house in the North Shore, was going through the process of selling the house that was evident was going to happen. And I was like, I need somewhere to live and I need to do this as quick as possible.
Why?
Well, a couple of reasons. One, the financials at that time, because we're kind of still, on paper, still a couple for the bank, looked really good. And two, the market was quite low, right? Things weren't shifting. There was pretty bad sentiment out there. It was pros. I would like to consider somewhere around the bottom of the market.
Cool.
Yep.
And before we talk about what to look for in a bargain, I want to know about what you wanted in it. So not like you wanted to do it up or whatever.
Yeah.
I want like you're thinking about, so you've gone through a split, you're looking for your next pad. What were you looking for in that place?
Good area, good price. That's it.
What about like number of bedrooms, standalone, townhouse, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, okay. So fundamentally what I was looking for was a good area and a good price. Next was standalone. And I'm not actually one that minds about cross lease versus freehold, especially if it has really well-defined areas, right? Look, a lot of houses in Auckland are cross lease and people have this aversion to them, like, oh, it's got to be freehold. Yeah, look, it is slightly better, but I see that as an opportunity where I could potentially cross lease it at freehold it at some point in the future.
Okay.
Yep.
And when you say like good location, what's a good location?
Yeah, cool. Well, for me, a good location is as close as possible to my buddy James Blair.
We're now 1.4 kilometers away, closest we've ever been. My wife Hannah goes, "You guys don't even hang out on." Obviously we're here on the weekend, but you guys don't even hang out on the weekend. Like, why does it matter? I'm like, it matters. It's nice for me emotionally to know he's close by. Yeah. She didn't get it.
Yeah. So look, when I say good location, what do I mean for me? For me personally, we work in Auckland City Centre. We parked in Britomart. So somewhere easy to get in to work. And on the North Shore, which I was definitely looking on the North Shore, the issue there is the Harbour Bridge. And recently, bad weather events, old bridge, a little bit windy. They shut the bridge. Everything grinds to a standstill. You can't get home. I think I left 4:30 one afternoon and got home at like 9 o'clock at night. Right? I literally just sat and I was furious because I was so hangry.
Yeah, that's because you spent 5 hours though in a bar instead of getting in the car.
No. This was the first time it happened. We literally got in the car and tried to get home, and I spent 5 hours getting from Britomart to Northcote Point. For everyone who doesn't know where Britomart and Northcote Point are, that's 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers tops.
Yeah. Feel free to put Jeff in the comments to represent Mike's true nature. So you want a good location.
as close to the city center as possible.
Yeah.
Somewhere where it's convenient for me to get to work.
Cool. What's next on the list?
Cool. So I was looking for a standalone house.
Mhm.
I didn't really want a townhouse style property with shared walls. The reason for that is at the price point I was looking at, they're easier to do up. They're easier to add value to. A townhouse or a unit, a little bit more tricky because you have to get, consent from everyone. A new build townhouse, I wasn't really in the market for because I wanted something that I could add value to. And that's part of spotting a bargain, right?
Cool.
Is like, can I add value to this if that's what you want to do?
Okay. And before we talk about this specific property, how many properties did you look at before you found the one?
On Trade Me or in real life?
Both.
Cool. On Trade Me, all I did was filter. It got to the point, and this is probably one of the really important things about how to spot a bargain. I probably checked Trade Me 4 times a day, 5 times a day. I didn't even have to put in filters for areas and bedrooms because I'd seen every house. I could just put in the areas I wanted in central Auckland and just go sort by new. And I knew that I'd seen every other house on there. So as soon as something popped up, I saw it instantly.
So you spent a lot of time looking at properties. And how many did you go and see in person?
I actually probably only saw 5 in person. I went to an auction for one. And I was the only bidder and they were trying to get me to bid against myself. I was like, I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous. But again, these were properties I liked, but weren't necessarily what I would consider to be a bargain.
Is that because obviously for a long period of time, the vendor and the buyer had been a long way away? Was that just because the vendor was still sitting in 2021?
Yeah, correct. Or maybe not 2021, but just not where the market had to be. And it was out of my budget, right? Like,
Cool.
You go from a double income to one income. That's not a bad income, but you still got to have to adjust your prices. So I was looking at a 2-bedroom townhouse off Ponsonby Road. And that was what I went to the auction and I was like, okay, I think I know where this is going to be. They wouldn't go below 1.86 million.
And where did you think it was?
My jaw was on the floor.
Where did you think the price was?
Oh, I thought 1.3 to 1.4. And I know that's expensive, but that road and that house, I argue that you cannot get a better location in Auckland for that style of house.
Yeah, I don't know. West Auckland for me and Ponsonby a little bit far. So you kind of been through, you looked at some. At that point, even after looking at a few, sometimes you start to get fatigued. You go, this is hard. Maybe you drop your standards because you just want the process to go to go over. What were the conversations you were having with yourself to make sure that you just kept focusing on the numbers and didn't end up making an emotional decision?
Oh, to be honest, I was reminding myself of what I needed to do and the time I needed to do it in, right? I didn't have, I had a deadline of my financials are going to look significantly worse soon. So I need to try and get this thing done. I just was like, I've only got this much time. I need to stay really focused on this.
When you eventually did buy a house, how much time did you have left in that kind of 2-income scenario?
Probably through 2 months.
Starting to get a bit stressful.
Yeah, starting to get a little bit stressful. I think the other thing to remember, right, is when people are listening to this, it's important to remember that I work in the industry. I find money to buy houses for a living for people. So my risk profile is probably a little bit more than other people would take, right? Because I'm, for lack of a better word, 1, desensitized to the process because I do it every day. And 2, I know exactly what I'm looking for when I'm looking for a house that I can fund and I'm buying it as a bargain.
Awesome. Okay. So you did find a house.
Yep.
Tell us about the house.
Cool.
Tell us about your first impressions of it.
Yeah, right. So it was a standalone 3-bedroom property near Mission Bay. It is a 1930s, 1940s Art Deco house. It has a cross lease with 2 other properties and it's at the bottom of the hill. I saw it and it had an asking price on it. It was a deceased estate, which is something else we can talk about, like the method of sale. I saw it on the Friday online, and the first open home was on either the Saturday or the Sunday. I think it was the first open home was on the Sunday. They just listed it. and I went to the open home 10 minutes early. So if I'm going to see a house, I go to the open home 10 minutes early, so that I can have a chat to the real estate agent about the property. And every real estate agent's probably like, why did you just tell people that? That's really annoying. But I don't know. You get a look around without everyone else there. And you can have a chat to them about it. What do they think about it? Talk to me about the property. You get a little bit more of not an inside word, but just a bit more probably time with the real estate agent to discuss it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And you saw the property on a Friday. You mentioned you'd filtered by new properties.
Yeah.
Was that the day the property came onto the market?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So you had a chat with the real estate agent. There was a listed price. You're talking to the real estate agent.
Yeah.
Some people would going early on the first day, too keen, might be harder to negotiate. They go, this person really wants it. What would you say to that?
Cool. So take a step back quickly and go, there's an asking price on this property of 1.249 million, right? And I go, a 3-bedroom house, pretty close to Mission Bay, standalone in central Auckland, like 1.249, that looks like a good deal. And that's the asking price, right? And it's a deceased estate. So, there's a little bit going on in the background. I looked up the property's value online, and I think it was like 1.75 mil. And I went, that's a bit of a discount. Let's see what's going on here. And instantly I know there's going to be some issues with the property, right? A deceased estate, you're selling as is, where is. There's usually no guarantees from the vendor. And for that price, you go, this is too good to be true. There's got to be something going on.
Yeah.
Before we move on, we talk all the time about planning and growing our wealth, but protecting that wealth is just as important. That's why having the right insurance in place can help when life goes unexpectedly.
And that's why this episode is brought to you by Partners Life, a New Zealand operated award-winning insurance provider with over 300,000 Kiwis insured and 89% of claims paid.
Partners Life understand that having some insurance is better than having no insurance. They have flexible and personalized solutions for any budget or situation.
Check out their website in our show notes below.
Nobody's giving away a free $500,000.
Yep.
So what problems did you inherit for $500,000?
Yeah, cool. So the house hadn't been lived in for a little bit of time. To be honest, I found out the problems straight away because the real estate agent was there and it was just me and just him. We had a quick chat and I was like, look, mate, I'm really serious about buying this house. I just need to know what I'm in for, And everyone kind of gives real estate agents a bit of a bad rap, like, they'll say anything to sell a house. They're legally obliged to tell you if there's issues with their house, right? So you just got to ask the right questions and you get the right answers. Yeah.
I think it's like any industry, right? There's good and bad people.
Yeah.
And it's quite, it's kind of like when you go and buy a car and you're like, I'm not sure how to interact with this person.
Yeah.
But you just went direct.
Yeah. I always find if I'm asking someone something and they know, like they clearly know more about it than me and they're the professional and I don't know, I tell them what I'm trying to achieve and then I ask the question because it gives them a little bit of context.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, look, issues. There was a leak in the roof.
You look up, it was pretty obvious straight away.
Yeah. And like saw a jib and on the ceiling in the living room was pretty stuffed. It was very damp downstairs, like really damp downstairs, and I was pretty concerned about that because I was worried that water would be coming up through the concrete, like the slab. It wasn't in rough shape, but it was like pretty untidy. Like the gardens are overgrown. There was a shed outside, which wasn't updated on the flats plan. So yeah, a couple of things were what I looked at. I was like, wow, this could potentially turn some people off here. Yeah.
And how do you, because people have bought those houses, pulled apart a wall, run into a whole bunch of issues. You like allude to the concrete.
Yeah.
How do you decide this is worth taking a punt on or this is too much work?
Cool. This was twofold for this property. The first one was I got a builder to go through it. And I basically gave, again, tell him the story, give him the brief, and then ask the question. Mate, I know there's some issues here. I just need to know, what am I in for, right? So he went through the property, checked the house, and basically said to me, yeah, you're fine. The issues are what they are. But I'm not going to run into anything that would sink the ship, basically, right? Like the house isn't listing, it's not falling over, it's not going to catch on fire or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And how can a builder tell, like, because I just hear the stories around once you start to get into it, then you find the issues. How can a builder tell, what the issues are, or as they're going based off everything I see, this appears to be okay.
Yeah.
The probability it will be all right is.
And you just assign a dollar value to the probability, right? Like you just go, it looks all right. If there's any issues, like basically all I needed to know is, are the foundations all right? And does the house leak? Are there any weather tightness issues? Because I'm not willing to spend money. That's too much risk, too much cash. I can't do that, Yep, the roof leaked, so it's going to be a bit damp up there, and that's all fine. You can deal with that. But yeah, basically, you just need to know, is there anything that's going to sink the ship?
Okay.
Yeah.
And how much, and I mean, immediately with you walk into the house, you see the ceiling, it's immediately going to turn off buyers, right?
Yep.
Which does mean that if you can assess the situation, if there is a discount, it does mean you're in a good position to buy a property opposed to a perfect property in a great location.
Yeah. So when I went and saw the house, had a chat to the real estate agent, had a look around, got a feel for it. That was Sunday. The asking price was 1.249 million. I basically said to Jono, the real estate agent, as I walked out, like, I'm going to text you the terms of my offer, and I will get their sale and purchase agreement to you 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Yep.
Cool. And why did you want to move that quickly on it?
Even if I look at, let's say, worst case scenario, the house is stuffed. I'd probably just have to move into my parents or something, but I could probably hang on to the house and, sell it in a couple of years and recoup the cash, just because of where the market is. Yeah.
Okay. And what was your offer?
1.25. So $1,000 over the asking price.
Why the hell would you? So it's a deceased estate with a price. Most people go, I'm going to go 1.15, 1.2, save myself some cash. Why did you go, I'll give you $1,000 more than what you want?
It's a nice round number. I think the real question is, why did I not try to lowball them?
Yeah.
Right? Humans like round numbers. Why stuff around? Like it's $1,000. Let's make it easy to write out. I think, why did I not lowball them is probably the real question, which is basically, it's already a bargain. You can see it's a bargain. The value of the land or the house online, because the online valuations don't usually know that the house might be in shabby state or this, that, or the other, was basically 1.7, 1.75. I'm like, I've already won. If I get this for 1.25, I've already won. I don't need to knock $5,000 off this. And I see this quite a bit with people when they are trying to not screw the vendor, but like just screw every last inch out of this deal. And I'm like, are you going to lose this for $5,000?
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. And then people go, I want to make an offensive offer. I want to get a really big discount. But the discount is the market at the moment. And if you go with the offensive offers, reasonable chance you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Market goes up. And if you
Well,
get
the
an
first
offensive
one for the reasonable price, you would have been winning.
Yeah, 100%. And if you wait and the market goes up, and now in the future, you're going to have to pay overs because the market's hot and we're going to be back in those competitive auction rooms. So I completely get why you did that. When it comes to the work you had to do on the house, what did you in reality have to do? Like, what have you done? What do you need to do? How much will it cost?
Yeah, cool. So the roof, I got a quote for that, and it was basically worst case scenario. It's going to be like 13 to 15,000 at the upper end to repair that. It was $250. Yep. So it turns out that the gutter that we thought was stuffed actually was fine. And what had happened is when they had laid the new roof, they had left a nail in and it had punctured through the color steel, and basically that had eroded a little bit. So all they did was they silicon the rest of the roof for $250 and hasn't leaked since. It was funny though. I was sitting there night one in the new house by myself, and I have nothing because I have nothing. And the TV came with the house.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. You got me.
Yeah, thank you, James. The TV came with the house. I'm like watching TV sitting on the floor. It's thundering with rain. Actually, there's I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm like, I look up and it's just dripping like through the roof onto the carpet. And I was like, this house has had it for 6 months just with like rain coming through the thing. The only thing I bought a NutriBullet. So I had to put the NutriBullet thing under there to catch the water. It was like,
Did you get through the night? Like, or did you have to change over the water a few times?
no. It stopped raining, so it was actually fine. It was just one of those funny moments where you're like, oh crap. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And going into, so you spent $250. Have you spent any other money?
Yeah. So the reason that the downstairs was a bit damp was, again, no one had lived in the house. And the drain out the front of the garage had blocked, and it's down the bottom of a drive. Water was running down the drive, running straight into the garage. So unblocked that, didn't have to replace any like pipes or anything. So that was significantly less. I had to quote it that at like 30 grand at the upper end to replace the pipe, and it was just a high pressure hose, unblock it.
Don't you land on your freaking feet. What work have you got do you plan to do? Because a lot of people could invest too much money into the house, right, and overcapitalize. What work do you plan on doing in the future?
Yeah, so I'm going to do a full reno on the house when I have some money, but I don't have any money at the moment. There's a lot I can do. There's actually, and here's the other thing, right, is I'm not a creative person, James. I shift numbers around a spreadsheet and hopefully everyone's happy at the end of it, and that's my finance life. I really struggle with walking into a place and seeing its potential. When I looked at this, and this is where, I was on the phone to Ilsa, right? Because Ilsa was looking at the house.
She's like, throw another wall in. We can get a 4th bedroom.
Yeah, well, but actually, Ilsa's has been really great in this. Like Ilsa was Ilsa's builder. She was looking at the plans, going, you could do this, and and yes, she was kind of looking at it from the first one she sent me was literally you could put 2 more bedrooms in and get the rent up. But again, I want to do a full renovation to it, shift a whole lot of stuff around. Really easy to make a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom out of the whole thing. It's just got enough space and it's laid out in such a kind of terrible way that actually it shouldn't be too bad to do that. Yeah.
But it's nothing you're going to be doing anytime soon?
No, that's probably 24 months away. I could spend a little bit on it and do I can spend a little bit on it and like redo the bathroom and stuff, or I just wait and do a full reno on it. The bathroom does have a shower dome, which is like everyone in the room has just screwed their face up. It does have a shower dome, which is pretty wild. Yeah.
Okay, we can't finish this up before talking about the surprise that came with the house.
Which one?
It was red.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah. So the house actually came with a Porsche.
The Porsche that came with the house.
Oh, there was one other surprise which I don't want to mention on the podcast. But,
we talking about the cat?
No, not the cat. So look, deceased estate, and in a deceased estate, and this is probably something else to talk about as well. Distressed assets, deceased estates, mortgagee sales can be a really good way to pick up a bargain because that they just need to move the house, right? And like in this example, the person who previously owned the house didn't have any children. So his niece and nephew who don't live in Auckland basically got lumped with a house, and they were like, well, just get rid of the house for me, please. And that's part of the reason why the price was so low. But basically where AJ and I had gone to the house and we were looking around it, and there was a big kind of brown patch of dead grass on the back lawn. And AJ's like, why is the lawn dead? And the real estate agent was like, oh, I think the guy used to have an old Porsche sitting out here. And like in unison, AJ and I were like, where's the Porsche? And the guy's like, well, I think it's in the garage. I'm like, well, can we see it? And they were like, yeah, cool. So we went, I've got a photo of it actually. We'll throw it
Bring
up.
up the photo in.
Yeah, it's the worst Porsche on the planet. It was a deceased estate. We were like, can you throw the Porsche in with the house?
Okay, Mike, to wrap it up, going into summer, people be looking to find a bargain. You've already given lots of tips. What are your final tips for those that are making a move over the summer?
Yeah, look, don't negotiate too hard. The market's down. There's a discount. Just, if you're going to get in, now's probably not a bad time to buy. Look for things that will turn other buyers off. Because that can be a really good way to get a bargain as well.
Like asbestos?
But hey.
I'm joking.
No, the house might have some asbestos. But like there are things, look for things that will turn other buyers off. Maybe it needs a little bit of work, maybe there's something unconsented, which doesn't really matter, like a shed or something like that. And then my final one is probably make sure you have the finance sorted so that you can make an offer really quickly, and know how to make a conditional offer that is attractive to people.
And how would you sort out the finance? Oh, that's right. You come, boy. Talk to my boy, Mike. Talk to the mortgage team at Lighthouse. How good. Alrighty, Mike. Well, great to have you 1.4 kilometers. If you're anywhere near Koei Cafe, Mike, myself, and Cooper will be sitting there all summer long.
Looking like the cutest
11
couple.
a.m. Breakfast is how good. Much love to Partners Life for sponsoring this episode. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, give us a review, give us a like, and we'll catch you next time.
Cheers.